Jason,
once more into the breach.
do I still have feet? I'm not sure anymore. I can't feel my feet.
Those look like feet. What platform are they on?
PlayStation 4 and Xbox One coming in October. PC multiplayer, DLC.
Okay, good. You got it all.
All right.
You're good. You're functional.
Welcome, everybody, to Rage Select. I am Jeff.
I'm Jason.
And this is what day is it? September Ween or
Mars?
Four's Day or Sixth Day or whatever.
Third day of E3.
Third day of E3.
Fucking over.
Holy shit. That was it. You've been through your very first E3, Jason.
Yep.
How's it feel?
You're taking somebody else next year.
Oh, yeah? What if I get a bunch of young men to carry you around in like a divan or whatever, like a sultan through E3?
Now we're talking.
They can stand in line with you. And
What kind of badge is that? What color is royalty?
I think they just you just demand that the booth babes come and bring you grapes and fan you with a palm leaf from time to time.
Bring me the brown one. She pleases me. I was gonna say pleasures, but that's woo.
Bring me the pre-alpha code of Titanfall. I demand it.
Yes. No, it is hands-on or nothing. Bring me his head.
We are most interested in the developer interview. Oh, my God, you guys. Okay, well, we have some stuff to get through here. I saw a lot of stuff. Jason saw some. You saw less than I did, but I feel like some of the stuff you saw is more interesting than what I saw.
I'm thinking so, yes.
But before we start, we just want to take a brief moment to say...
Sorry, Avalanche.
Yeah, sorry, Avalanche. We figured out the difference due to a commenter between Avalanche Games and Avalanche Studios. I still can't remember which one is making Mad Max.
It's Avalanche Studios is making Mad Max. They're the ones who did Just Cause.
Yes.
Avalanche Games did Hannah Montana. It's very different.
They also did something else. Hold on, let me look them up real fast. They had something. They did Just Cause. They did Just Cause 2. And they
High School Musical.
Yeah, it was High School Musical. It was Zack and Cody's Big Ship Adventure on the Wii U or something like that. All right, fuck it, I can't find it. Oh wait, there it is. Hold on.
It would help if you spelled Avalanche correctly.
Spelling is for like ladies.
People who are using more than 1% of their brain.
Renegade Ops, that's what it was. You remember I showed you that? That was like looked like Jackal. Remember?
Yeah, that was fun.
That game was super fun. So yeah, sorry Avalanche Studios. That one's our bad. That one's totally on us. So
it's okay. They're not listening. Let's move on.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to start since I got a lot of shit to talk about.
Batman bitches.
I saw Arkham Origins today, and just like 75% of the games at E3 that you care about, it was a hands-off stage demo where somebody was playing the game.
Yep.
So Arkham Origins is the prequel to Arkham Asylum, where you've got a young Batman. I mean, I don't know how you guys don't know this. Everybody's a huge fan of Batman already. Like, people in Zimbabwe know about the story for Batman. Arkham Origins.
But there they draw it with like sticks in the dirt.
Do
under
they?
The light of the moon, as is foretold.
What's the frame rate?
It's 30.
It's like 1.
Yeah.
Sorry, Zimbabwe listeners. But basically, the story of the game is Black Mask, a criminal in Arkham City, in Gotham City. Jesus Christ, I'm so tired. Has contracted all of the world's greatest assassins to kill the Batman.
You were going to say he's contracted all the world's greatest STDs to kill the Batman. Herpes, go forth and claim the bat.
So you've got Batman earlier on in his career, and he is trying to he's trying to kind of get to the Black Mask, but at the same time, he's got all these people that are hunting him. So let me tell you what I saw. First and foremost, you guys all should know this by now, but it is not Kevin Conroy doing the Batman voice.
Yep.
Okay. Whoever's doing the Batman voice is kind of like, it's like he's trying to do Kevin Conroy, but it's like
Conroy,
sorry. But it's like Kevin Conroy if somebody was like poking him in the eye with a broken thermometer or something. He's so angry. He's very angry. And not like icy Batman angry, like full of rage Batman angry.
Okay.
Like he just, when he's interrogating somebody, like you've seen the thing where he has it's like a penguin guy hung up and the guy's like, let me go. And he's like, if you want. And he cuts him off and just lets him like fall into this Christmas tree, like 2 stories down, because the whole game takes place at Christmas. But anyway, from there, they went and moved around Gotham City. It was very much like Batman Arkham City. They didn't seem to have the power zip line that like zips you up in the air. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see that, but you could glide with the cape. You could hook onto stuff. The combat seems largely unchanged. There were a few new enemy types they showed. One of them was actually a martial arts expert who will actually dodge Batman's hits.
What?
And will counter your counters.
That's
if you
bullshit. That doesn't happen.
You got to counter the counter that they countered in order to counter.
Oh, I'm not good at countering.
Yeah.
Period.
There was also like a super big enemy that was kind of reminiscent of like the big Venom enhanced enemies. You have to hit a lot. You have to do that bam, 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 where you're like punching them in the stomach 100 times. But these guys have armor, and so you have to pull the armor off of them first before you can start hitting them. It appears that it seemed like what they were showing. This looks a lot less like Arkham City, where it was all like rundown and shitty. This is more like Gotham City. And in fact, because it was set at Christmas, it reminded me a lot of Batman Returns. Because it's snowing and all this stuff is going on. But then there were a couple of really interesting parts in the game. The first was that you come around a corner and it's not just Batman that is like, they've seemed to have loaded this shit down with way more villains, and it seems like you're going to have more direct confrontation with villains. Because at one point you come around a corner, there's this Santa Claus statue that's projecting a video, and it's Anarchy from the DC universe.
What? Really?
Yeah, talking about how tell the good people who Anarchy is, because
Anarchy's this kid who the original
about the guy with the yellow mask and the stupid hat,
the big hat,
Spanish Inquisition hat.
Yeah, just this kid who was wearing this, trying to be a supervillain, and Batman kicks his ass and is like, "Oh, he's 13,"
right?
You know, and then he went on to do other stuff, but I didn't read that. I've just got the initial run from like the late 80s, early 90s when he first appeared.
Can't tell if that's what it is, but it's very much like that, his costume with the Anarchy symbol on the chest, but it's been very Arkham'd up. Like it looks a little bit more severe. And he set these bombs, and so you have to go on this little submission where you can choose to find out where his bombs are, and then you go and you disarm them. And the developer said that that's actually the beginning of an entire quest chain that ends with you directly confronting Anarchy, because Batman's like, well, I'm a vigilante, but you're blowing shit up, bro. So, like, no es bueno.
That's what he said.
He said no es bueno.
El Batman.
Yes. No, that was Bane later on.
Oh.
So from there, like up on top of this building.
No me gusta.
Bane is very severe with his no me gusta. You were up on top of this building, and they showed his helicopter was like spots you, and then like it just kind of blows up and crashes out of nowhere. So they showed the new detective mode, and it looks like a lot more like a mini game than just like, because they had the actual like detective mode. It was like, oh, there's perfume in the air. Let me find the predator vision that lets me see perfume, and then you follow it, and then you're done. Whereas here, it's kind of like yesterday when I was describing Soul Sacrifice. Like, you have to piece together the crime scene.
Yeah.
So what you do is you go down on the ground to where the fuselage is, and you start with the pilot that's on the ground. And when you scan him, then you can, with your Batman vision, you can like rewind time, and it shows you the point where he flew out of the windshield of the helicopter when it hit the ground, and you can rewind it a little bit. And then it's like you look for the helicopter, and you see that the tail rotor broke off. So then you go up on top of this building, and you rewind it further, and you scan, and you find the actual tail rotor around the corner. And then when you scan that, you see that the tail rotor was blown off when somebody shot the helicopter. Mm-hmm. So then you go to where the shot came from, and there's a police sniper there, but it turns out that he was killed by a ricochet because Deadshot shot and ricocheted through this policeman and ended up trying to hit you and hit this helicopter instead, which is another of these, like, if you follow that down, you can go and do a thing to get Deadshot.
You guys would laugh your asses off if you saw how many gestures Jeff was making right now in trying to illustrate this scene with his hands.
I'm very animated. I'm very animated when I talk about Batman.
Yeah, it's theater for one.
But they talked a lot about how it's going to have like a wanted list, essentially, of villains that you can find throughout Gotham, and that you'll pick up on their trail, and that you can then run them down as these individual subquests and essentially mark them off the list. And actually, the logo for it, if you haven't seen, I'm going to quit gesturing because you just look at me like this stupid look on your face now.
Yeah, that's just my look lately.
I mean, did you see you saw it on the show floor, the logo
banners, yeah,
where it's like Batman's head in the middle makes the little ears with
Yeah.
the Batman symbol, but then around him was like all
of
these
those
villains
bad
and
guys,
stuff.
yeah. It's a ton. I mean, they're all like B and C listers, you know.
Yeah, and then at one point, you go into this room. I mean, this is all. Some of this is in the trailer, and Bane grabs Batman, just starts beating the shit out of him.
Is he still all huge and muscly?
He's pretty huge, but he looks like pre-Venom Bane.
Okay.
Like big, but not like Venom big.
Yeah.
Like he could fit through a normal doorway.
Okay.
And he's actually about to kill Batman, and then the Joker is like, he comes out of the shadows and is like, we had a deal, remember? And Bane like grudgingly lets you go and says you've got 1 minute and like walks away. And the Joker's got all these plungers set up on this table. And he shows that he's got bombs wired up all over the city. And so it's a big explosion. There's jumping out of the window, and that was kind of where it ended. But you know what? It seems like outside of the Kevin Conroy voice, the guy who's doing the Joker is obviously not Mark Hamill, but he's doing a very good impression of Mark Hamill to the point where it's probably not going to be that noticeable. Everything looks very Arkham, but it's got a slightly different style. It's a little bit more... It's interesting to see characters like Deadshot, because like Deadshot has very much the orange and blue on his costume, and they haven't taken that out to just make everything gray and black. There seems to be a little bit more color in the world. Like Joker's costume is a little bit more flamboyant. In fact, he looks a little meaner. He's got like spikier hair.
Yeah.
But
well, he doesn't look like he's got the AIDS.
No.
Like in Arkham City.
Very true. But he's, they talked a little bit about roaming around the streets and stopping random crime. That could totally happen. The bottom line is, if you're into those games, and I'm into those games, I like them a lot.
Oh, yeah.
This does not seem like they've gone out of their way to dick it up. It just seems like a different developer's taken up all of the UI elements and all the fighting stuff. All seemed exactly the same as the previous games. Just the bigger city, bigger scope, and I welcome the addition of Black Mask instead of Joker.
Oh, yeah.
I think that you do Joker too many times, you start to lose
absolutely
the Joker.
And especially you can't really put Joker in the forefront. Spoiler, just for a second, after the way Arkham City ended.
Yes.
So
that is Batman Arkham Origins. And I tell you what, we both got in line first thing today at E3. We walked in and got directly in line.
The bigger lines.
And you got in line for...
The Division. Tom Clancy's The Division. This was one that was just revealed on Monday during their big presser thing. It's Ubisoft, whatever. And it's they give you all of these in the trailer that they play. They give you all of these end of the world scenarios, like
did they have that stupid super dramatic thing again? About, like, day three, all Pop-Tarts have spoiled. And day 4,
day 6, uncontrollable diarrhea.
God, I hate day 6.
Oh yeah, it's the worst one. They did that whole thing again. And then they basically showed us a variant on the same
mission
level. Yeah, the same mission. But with this, they showed it when someone was using a tablet along with it.
Okay,
a third person who was playing as a drone from their tablet, and they were healing the people who were playing on their Xbox or whatever.
So how does a drone heal people?
I don't know.
We're just like little
science.
Red crosses were coming down from the drone, and then people's life bars went back up again.
Science. Yeah.
Okay.
That's how it happens.
Hey, if any of you guys are in the military, tell us if those drones can heal people.
So I don't want to go too much into the details of the video because it's already pretty much out there. But yeah, people can play on the tablet as a drone and help your friends out, and you'll team up in groups. And what happened was that a pandemic hit New York and wrecked everything.
Okay.
And this is they're calling it an RPG. It does have some RPG elements, although they didn't go into that.
Like leveling up?
Yeah, I think there's some leveling.
Yes.
It's an online world, but when I pressed them for answers about what that meant exactly, if it was persistent, if it functioned like an MMO, if it was just an instance, you know, like a level of Counter-Strike or something. When I was asking him about that, he's like, "We're not answering any more questions. You can go talk to our PR people outside." And I was like, "Oh, the people who don't know anything."
Did you try saying, "Do you know who I am"?
I didn't.
Damn it. I want to get that one time. I want to use it one time. Well, okay, there's a pandemic. It's in New York.
So do I have to call the beard in here?
That's right. You're going to just get me stomping in there all mad and shit. What are you saying to him? Give him what he wants already. Do you not know who we are?
This is the beard. I'm the Holy Murph.
We started a YouTube channel like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Bitch. All right.
Yeah.
Did they get into any more about what the actual the story is? There's a pandemic. It's a third-person shooter, right?
Yeah.
And and they weren't clear about whether it was an MMO or not.
Yeah.
Talk about, was there a story?
It was. That was the thing, is that I said, well, I was asking, is there any sort of end game
right.
on the online part? I mean, what's the real story there? Not answering any more questions. Need to talk to our PR people. And I was just like, oh, fuck you. But yeah, it's a pandemic hit New York. You've got to. Here's something that's not clear.
Okay.
Here's something that's not clear. The division refers to a secret group of the government that's meant to deal with these catastrophic occurrences.
Are you part of that group?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
So, like, when they were getting the cops out of the cells, that was a mission?
That was like an instance. Yeah, you actually went to that place to get supplies, and you found the cops in there.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's all sorts of stuff.
Did they talk about, like, how big the world was?
It's
all of New York?
It looked like a good portion of New York.
Okay.
They kept saying it's big, but, everybody says that.
Everybody likes to talk about how big their levels are at E3.
Exactly. But, yeah, and, there was all sorts of stuff popping up that they could do, but then they had one that was flagged as the most important. And that was the one that you see in that video that was played at the Ubisoft conference the other night. So yeah, you could go do that, and like each of the other little dots on there, or a bunch of the other dots were other groups of people doing other things. Some of them with you and some of them against you.
Okay. Did they, you and I were talking about this yesterday. Did they do the stupid thing like they pretended like they were playing online and dialogue was all dumb and shit?
I was waiting for it.
Come on.
Yeah, they were all right, move forward. Okay, we got two tangos.
No, they did do it. They did
No.
They didn't do that.
They didn't do that this time.
Okay.
They did it during the conference,
Son
but
of a bitch.
not during the demonstration.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm glad, because I would have just started laughing out loud.
Well, give me a bottom line on a division. Like, looking forward to, not looking forward to, need more information.
I think, need more information, but so far it's pretty promising.
Okay.
I think it looks neat.
What was it running on?
I don't know.
360 because they had a tablet?
No. I think it was PS3. But well, see, that's the thing, is that
it's a PS3. Is that game even coming? Let's find out.
Yeah,
Look at it real fast.
but every time it's so funny, because no one ever mentioned smart glass unless they were in Microsoft's area.
Well, of course,
some people may have been very well using smart glass, but instead they were just saying the tablet. Probably because if they said smart glass, Sony would get pissed at them.
Well, because they had to pay they had to pay Microsoft every time they said
maybe
smart glass.
Maybe, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So it's only PS4
and Xbox One. Yeah, but it looked good. It looked really good.
Okay.
And they were emphatic that this was mid-pandemic. So this wasn't like after all the shit had gone down. They said that there was still an element of hope. And so I wanted to ask, one of the questions was, okay, so does that mean you can like turn this around and like fix things? And they wouldn't even hear it.
I'm just saying, I mean, like what part of New York is this on? If it's on one of the islands, why not just do a Bane, blow the bridges, and give Brooklyn back to the people?
Well, there was stuff on the mainland, on the main part of New York as well.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, it looks good. I think it could be very cool.
Okay, cool.
But need some more information, and it won't be out for a while.
Okay. Well, just to reiterate, you guys, we have a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about today. Actually, most of the rest of the stuff that Jason has talked about, you actually got to put your hands on and play like a video game.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the stuff that I ended up seeing today was once again sitting in a chair watching somebody else play a video game, which it's a good thing that I'm such a badass at video games, because I could just imagine that I was doing that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You should tell your parents that when you're growing up, and they're like, oh, well, then we don't need to buy you anything, do you?
Well, no, I know better than to tell my parents shit like that. I thought about see if I could swipe a PlayStation 4 controller and bring it with me.
Oh, yeah?
And just sit there and pretend to play the game. And be like, all right, I think I've got how this game feels. So after I saw Batman, I went over to the Sony booth and I checked out Infamous Second Son.
Okay, which is the third Infamous game, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And Infamous Second Son takes place in Seattle, Washington. which is interesting because the developers Sucker Punch are from Seattle, and I used to live in Seattle at one point.
Yeah,
and one of the first things they showed off was the fact that it rains a lot in Seattle.
Sure.
Which, I don't know, if you don't play video games, you may not know that. But they showed how they were really trying hard to get like the lighting tech to work with water and pools and stuff, like make wet concrete look good.
Okay. Rather than just dark gray.
Well, yeah, like reflective of
Yeah.
the sky and the light source and things like that. And actually, when I was watching that for the first time, I was struck with kind of the difference in my mind between this generation, between the next generation and this current generation, is that it seems like I finally had a metaphor in my head that worked. And this isn't going to work for people who aren't as old as you or I, but it was like the difference between when you moved from like 800 by 600 up to 1024 by 768 back in the old days.
Yeah.
How everything is like sharper, clearer, crisper.
Oh, yeah.
All the lighting effects are better. All the particle effects are way better. So smoke, fire, sparks, things like that all look way better. But then when you see like trees, they look a little better. They don't look super significantly better. It's just like...
It's like every generation, or every year they tackle something new, some little bitty thing, that could make a big difference.
And who knows, like, my fervent hope is that all of the stuff that we're seeing right now is the crappy first generation of the next gen, and that by 2015 we're going to be seeing games that are just like, what?
Yeah. Well, really, some of the stuff that I saw was pretty jaw-dropping. So, but this sounds like it was gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, it looks and plays a lot like an Infamous game. Basically, this guy, the main character, Delson Rowe. You guys need to hire somebody better to come up with your names. Sucker Punch. That's fucking ridiculous. Delson Rowe is the main character for this, and he is like basically a frustrated artist who lives in Seattle, as there are a lot of frustrated artists who live in Seattle. And he's basically fighting this government organization that in the Infamous universe is there to stop essentially the new superpower people that have come out. Because in Infamous, like there was an event and then people started getting superpowers.
Yes.
Delson here apparently has the superpower to absorb other people's superpowers, much like Rogue from the X-Men.
Okay.
Except he apparently is able to do it permanently, and his first power is what you've seen in the trailers, and it's technically, they call it smoke power. But he can like turn into a cloud of smoke and go through a vent.
Oh, I thought it had something to do with cigarettes.
Yeah, he can smoke an entire pack of Pall Malls in like 10 seconds. He has like this, but it seems like they call it smoke, but it seems like it's also very much fire and embers and stuff like that. Cause he's got this chain on his wrist that he can whip out like Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
So they showed some traversal stuff, which seemed like it was an awful lot like Infamous, where you can glide through the air using your hands as jets. And then they took down this like government checkpoint to take back this section of Seattle and drive these guys out of it. And the biggest thing that I noticed was a lot of destructible environment stuff. Like you have a guy standing on a bridge. Or the first thing I noticed was it was at the very beginning of the level, you were like standing in front of this giant gate and there was like a catwalk above it. And above that there was like a roof. And there was this guy that was standing on the catwalk and he was shooting at the player, and he shoots the roof and it just crashed down on top of him. So you saw a lot of that. Then he went into this big protracted battle with all of these enemies using his fire superpowers, there were a lot like Cole McGrath's powers in Infamous 1.
Want to know something funny?
Tell me.
Side note, for the longest time, I thought Cole McGrath was like one of those BMX guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like Shaun White or something like that?
Yeah. I was
he was an extreme snowboarder?
Yeah, like Cole McGrath's motocross. I thought that was a thing. I really did. I thought, the guy from the X Games.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
He drinks a lot of Mountain Dew. But it appears that some of these government agents also have their own superpowers, because there's these dudes that would like they would jump, they'd do like a power jump, but then they would leave behind like this big chunk of rock that had like pushed them off the ground so they could jump way far over here. At the very end, he seemed to gather up all this power and do like this big area attack that just vaporized everybody in the immediate vicinity. It was pretty cool. It looked an awful lot like an Infamous game. So I have a feeling that if you're into the Infamous series, this is probably going to be great. If you're not entirely sure whether this is going to be striking your fancy.
Okay.
I don't know. Like it could. What was most interesting to me about the entire thing was when they said that his powers were to absorb other people's superpowers.
Yeah.
Because if there are a lot of other superpowered people in the game, and it's possible by the end of the game that you could switch between smoke and ice and telekinesis and whatever.
Asshole Spider-Man.
Like if you could switch between all of those, that would be very cool. Because Cole's powers were limited to electricity in the first one. The second one, he got a little bit more power, but not so much that it made a terrible difference. But it looked real sharp. It seemed to play very well. It seemed like if you're into Infamous or Prototype or those open world kind of superhero-y type games, could be real fun.
Sure. Okay.
Could be real fun. From there, I am going to do another one.
I didn't expect this one to be there.
I didn't expect it to be playable.
Yeah,
that was the crazy
That's what
thing.
I meant. Yeah.
This is Beyond Two Souls, the Ellen Page game with Ellen Page in it. That is not The Last
It's about
of Us.
her.
It's about Ellen Page.
She's doing her thing.
Yeah. So one of the big things that I've noticed recently is that there's been a lot of people. There's been this kind of weird worry about Beyond Two Souls because they showed in the game this. They showed at E3 this sequence of her in like the Middle East.
Yeah, doing like some training.
Well, it was like actually that was an operation. Like this.
Right. Yeah,
like,
there was other training that was going on.
Actually, it looks more like Africa. I'm sorry, than the Middle East. So, like, I noticed when I was walking out, when I was sitting in line for the booth, that on one of the doors, and they theme these booths, on one of the doors they had this seal that was like United States military, like paranormal division
thing.
or something like that. And when you walk up and you play the game, like, there's two control sets. There's a control set for her, and then there's a control set for Aiden. And Aiden is apparently this spirit that you are able to control to a certain degree. Now, before I go too much...
like the Frighteners?
Sort of.
Do you get to control Bruce Willis?
No.
Okay.
No.
As Ghost Bruce Willis?
Or Arlie Army.
Or Arlie Erm.
You can't do that either.
I was jumping around. When Frighteners, Sixth Sense, and back to Frighteners.
Yeah. But so what it starts out with, and I asked them, like, at what point during the game does this take place? And they said this is kind of towards the middle of the game. And apparently the game...
And then you just go, spoiler!
And then I was just
shoved
like,
him.
Yeah, this is Sparta. I kicked him off the stage, and then they escorted me out of the building.
It was awesome.
He told me, the guy I don't remember his name. I'm sorry, all the people that I talked to today. I didn't get any of your names. He told me that the game is set over 15 years of the main character's life, and it actually jumps around. Like, it's not chronological; it goes back and forth. And so this is towards the middle of the game, and we saw what you were talking about, the training sequence of her, like in boot camp or something earlier. This is like military face paint. Tac vest, grenades, and like obviously it looked like she was kitted out from Metal Gear, honestly. And a lot of people were very, very. A lot of people were very worried when they saw there was a sequence of her basically hunkered down behind a chest-high wall, moving between cover, because they were like, "Oh shit, they've made this into Gears of War." Allow me to assuage your fears. This is nothing like goddamn Gears of War. All of the main characters' movements, which I need to... What's her name? Jodie. All of Jodie's movement is very much like Heavy Rain, if Heavy Rain was a little bit less stupid. Did you play Heavy Rain?
I didn't.
Okay, you know, in Heavy Rain, you control the main character with like you control them like a car. You hit a button to accelerate them forward, and then you turn them left and right while they're walking.
Really?
It's kind of stupid. Here, you just move the left stick around, and the character moves like a regular goddamn video game.
Yeah.
But the demo started out with her hunkered down behind this cover with like this child soldier, like a 7-year-old, 8-year-old kid, shooting an AK-47 at these guys in like a technical. And it said, like, okay, you need to get rid of this guy, so you need to switch to Aiden mode, where you hit the triangle button and you switch over to this ghost, and you're just wandering around, and you go up to this guy, and you lock onto him, and you pull the triggers back, and then you let them go, and it just, like, telekinesis blasts this guy that was shooting at you.
But you have to keep Aiden from finding ladies showering. Because let's be honest, if you're a ghost, that's your impulse right there.
I'm going to get back to how Aiden is an asshole towards the end of this.
Oh, shit.
So then you go over to this other guy, and you Jodie seems a little she doesn't do a lot of, like, she pulls out a gun at the beginning, but doesn't actually ever shoot it at anybody, and nobody ever gets shot by the little kid. Aiden's kind of a son of a bitch. Like, you take out this other guy, and then you go over to these two guys that are standing by a technical, and there's a guy in the back with a mounted machine gun shooting at you, and there's a guy standing next to him, and you go into the guy standing next to him with the AK-47, and then that guy, like, his eyes turn white, and he goes all, blah, 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 and he's possessed by Aiden now. And if you've never played Heavy Rain, all the rest of the motions in this game are QuickTime events. So it's like, hit the R1 button, you're like, great. And then he just turns around and, like, guns that dude down in cold blood who's on the technical, and then he, like, offs himself, and then Aiden jumps out of him. But, like, there was a part where you were hunkered down behind cover, you had to move to another piece of cover, and the way you did that was by pointing your camera at it and hitting the X button until it filled up. And when I did that, she runs out, and there's a guy pinning her down, and she had to run back. So it wasn't... I didn't die once. It seemed like Heavy Rain, except that your character can't die like they can in Heavy Rain. So, I don't know. From there, like, you move forward through the level. You use Aiden a bunch of times to get around checkpoints. There's this one where these two guys are talking at a truck, and Aiden just takes control of one of them and just pulls out a knife and stabs the other one in the chest with it, and then walks up to the driver and slits his throat.
Man,
and takes him out of the vehicle.
I want an Aiden.
Yeah. There's some combat with Jody, and it's actually done in a pretty interesting way. How when you're in combat, like, the combat will slow down. Like, say somebody is punching you, and imagine the two people framed on the screen, and they're punching you. And what they say is that she'll be moving in a direction, like she'll be slowly, like in slow motion, like she'll be moving back away from the guy that's punching her, and you need to match that motion with the right analog stick. And if you don't, then she'll get punched in the face. And if you do, then she'll dodge out of the way and grab the guy's arm and do some hand-to-hand combat.
Okay.
It's a good way to have some action in the game without having to build a
without
whole
making it
engine.
an action game.
Right.
Yeah.
So it tends to be more like Dragon's Lair, but because there's not like a big flashing arrow or a quick time event, you have to be paying attention to her and what she's doing. It actually felt way better than those games that I just listed off. Towards the
it's
end,
not Space Ace.
No.
Okay.
It is not Space Ace. Towards the end of that demo, the two, Jody and this kid get in this truck, and Aiden takes control of this dude and is driving the truck. And this is where Aiden is a jerk off because he comes up to a checkpoint where there's like 12 guys, and then Aiden just like busts through the checkpoint, and suddenly there's like 5 technicals following you. And Jody actually stands up and goes, Aiden, why the hell did you do that? The whole city's going to be on us now. And so then there's this great fight sequence where you've got guys jumping from the technical over to your truck, and you're trying to fight them off, and you're trying to protect the kid. And at the end, you finally outrun him, and you go, and that's kind of the end of it. She tells the kid that he's a good boy, and she has to go do this thing, and she'll be back later. And it was like, and the kid doesn't speak any English. Like, he's speaking some African language. Maybe African language. I don't know. I couldn't understand it. But he seems to understand what she was saying, but then she doesn't have any clue what he is saying. Anyway, the takeaway from this should be that if you're worried that Beyond Two Souls is becoming Gears of War, it's so totally not. It's basically Heavy Rain with Ellen Page. And I'm now way excited.
Really?
For this.
Okay.
Oh, sure.
Are you a big Heavy Rain fan?
Yeah, I like Quantic Dream because they're not so obsessed with gameplay that they let the story that they want to tell suffer because of it.
Oh, yeah.
So they tend to put the story first and then try to work interesting gameplay into that. But I thought Heavy Rain most people who played it thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, all of the characters in Heavy Rain could die.
And this is a PS3 exclusive.
Yes. So that was Beyond Two Souls. Why don't we move on from there to maybe not a game, but you got a chance to see something that I am way interested in today.
Yeah. I waited in line forever to see this. It was a while, and this was just a demonstration of the Oculus Rift, these are the goggles. They're, I don't want to say virtual reality, but they're virtual reality goggles. And you
I
put
hear
those
they don't
on.
have a Y-axis.
I
hear you don't have a Y-axis. Can you move your head up and down, or is it
totally.
just rotation? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That might have been just a setting for the game that I was.
I think.
Do you remember? Did you look down at the ground or up in the air or anything, or did you just mostly turn around?
I mostly just turned around.
Yeah.
I don't know. I need to check that out because there was no reason for me to turn around, or for me to look up and down. But anyway, yeah, you put the headphones on, you put the goggles on, and it was really immersive. I had an Xbox controller in my hand, wired up to this laptop, and the game was essentially Slender meets the Weeping Angels.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was just a really simple game. It was mostly like a tech demo. Mm-hmm. But I put it on, and I'm walking through these woods, and I hear something moving behind me, and I turn around, and I physically, I didn't just look.
Right.
I had to turn my body 180 degrees.
Were you in a swiveling chair, or did
No,
you
I was standing up.
Oh, okay.
And so I turned my body, and I had to press the other direction on the pad on the Xbox controller so I could start walking backwards because I wanted to keep moving.
Oh,
But I turn around and I'm like, was that tree there before?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so I just kept walking, and then I hear this rustling. I turn back, and the tree's closer. And then I hear some more rustling again, and I turn around the way I was supposed to be going, and there's a tree out in the path that wasn't there before. So all these trees are coming at you, but they only move when you're not looking at them.
Fucking Wizard of Oz, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
So I was just like, okay. And after a while, the rustling gets louder and louder, and they're getting more and more aggressive, and like the path was completely obscured.
Right.
At one point, behind me.
Did you try kicking them in their tree nuts?
No.
Was there a button? What happens if you hit the right trigger?
I hit all of the other buttons. The only one was walk. Not even run, but walk. And apparently you can get to your car at the end and set these bastards on fire. I didn't make it.
Yeah.
I saw the car. I started to get there. There was a fire near the car. Started to get there, and then all of a sudden, the character screams. There's this blood-curdling scream. And here's me in the middle of the indie developer area, just because of that damn scream. But yeah, it was the movement of the Oculus Rift was really smooth because I would hear something and I would turn around really quickly, and there was no lag or anything like that.
Nice.
It was very impressive.
Okay.
So yeah.
Do you think? Let me ask. I'm so pissed that I didn't get to go see this. How is the weight on your head?
It wasn't bad.
Really?
Yeah. I was not distracted by it. It didn't take away from the game.
And I know that you wear glasses. Could you focus and everything?
Yeah, just fine.
What was it like? Is it like having a screen as your entire field of vision type of thing?
Yeah, pretty much. And there were, the way it works is that the two lenses are two different screens, right?
So it had the 3D, the Force 3D.
Well, no.
No.
Maybe that one didn't have this. Here I am trying to tell you how this technology works, and I clearly don't know. Otherwise, I would make it. But yeah, it was basically like having a screen in front of your face, but it was everywhere you looked.
Let me ask you a hypothetical question. Like, if you could buy one of these for a couple $100 and plug it into literally any video game that was out there to play it like that instead of on a TV, would you rather play a game? Even if the movement for the Oculus Rift was only just like slight so that you were seeing just a little bit off of one side or the other, but you were still playing with a controller, do you feel that it was a better experience looking into those screens than it was looking at a television?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just more immersive in general?
It was totally immersive. Yeah.
With the headphones as well.
And again,
all that
I could turn around 360 degrees and see stuff wherever. Not even in the regardless of where I pointed the controller, So I found myself running in one direction. I was running forward, but looking back over my shoulder.
Nice.
And seeing what was behind me. And then I turned around and started looking forward again, and one of those motherfuckers was like right in my grill.
Fucking trees, man.
The tree was all up in my shit.
Was there any kind of indication on screen about where your dead zone was for the controller? Because I could see, like, what if you turned around, you turned around and you tried walking in that direction, then you'd be reversing your control schema. Was there any indication when you had turned back so that when you hit up on the D-pad, you were going forward or whatever?
No, there wasn't. In fact, there was a weird little orientation thing where I didn't realize at first that I had to turn my whole body.
Oh, right.
Because I could look in this one direction, and I was like, well, I guess I can make it over there. And so I'm like shuffling sideways, basically. And then I realized, oh, wait, no, I can just go in this direction.
Right.
And yeah, it took a second to get used to, but after that, you're in.
Cool.
Yeah, if I could do that in, Skyrim, Red Dead, whatever, Minecraft, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would never see you again. You just get totally engrossed in all of Minecraft.
Yes.
It's all Jason does anymore, you guys. I'm sorry, we can't record.
I'd be mining, and I would know when those fucking creepers are coming.
Yeah.
Because I could be, picking at something and then take a look over my shoulder every now and then, like, is that bitch back there? Is he?
Finally, I can look over my shoulder like a paranoid freak all the time.
Yeah.
Just like I do in real life.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that sounds incredible, and I think you're a son of a bitch because I wanted to go see that.
It was cool, but I probably got some disease by sharing that thing with all the other people.
Eye herpes.
I may have gotten the eye herpes.
Ocular syphilis.
Oculus syphilis.
Yes, it's
Syphilis Rift.
Don't look at it. Don't look that up on the internet, you guys. It's gross.
Don't.
It's very gross.
Never.
All right. Well, from there, I spent a lot of my day today in the Sony booth. So I'm going to go over a couple of indies real fast.
Okay.
I got to see Mercenary Kings.
Cool.
Which is Scott Robertson, the guy. It's basically the team that made Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yes.
And they're making like a side-scrolling kind of like heavy barrel. No.
Yeah.
Metal slug. Metal slug.
Yeah. Metal slug. Yeah. Or kind of Contra-ish.
Little Contra. But here's the thing that I didn't know about this game. All right. First of all, let's get the bad news out of the way. This is only a 4-directional shooter. You can't shoot in all 8 directions.
Oh.
That kind of sucks.
Dumb.
Okay. But let's get the good stuff in here. Mm-hmm. Okay, this game is totally an RPG.
What?
Like the game, the actual action in the game is side scrolling and shooting, but like when you start the game, you're in this camp and you go up to this woman and she's like, "All right, let's play with your guns time." And you can every gun has 5 different pieces to it, like a sight, a muzzle, the barrel, the stock, and something else. And you can switch and mix and match between different guns. You can craft new things to put on your gun. You can craft buffs that you put in your body armor. And one of the things that you do when you go out on these missions is you're looking to get materials to pick up the stuff off the ground that people drop, so you can go back to your camp and make better guns.
So, why are you killing people? So I can get better guns. Why do you need better guns? So I can kill
more people. Well, what I did this one mission where you had to fight this giant mech boss, and so there was the area was very big, and 10 minutes, and there was a map that would show you potential places where this boss could be, and so you define which one he spawned at. Found him. He had a weak point. It took me a little while to figure it out, but once I did, I managed to take him down with ease. I actually looked over to my right, and there was a station where 4 people were playing split-screen co-op, but they're saying that they're integrating online co-op for when it comes out. Basically, if you're any kind of fan of side-scrolling shooting games, shit's like crack, because it's got that weird Paul Robertson art style that is very
Scott Pilgrim.
Well, it's very unique. It's very creative. The enemies, are very reminiscent of a game like Russian Attack or something like that.
Yeah.
But they're all a little bit cracked out and weird in their own strange way.
Russian crack.
It's way harder than regular crack. I do not recommend it.
Also harder than Russian Attack.
This is very difficult.
Are we rapping?
I don't know.
I think we're about to break out into some sort of rap.
I think that you're
white boy game rap.
I think you're rapping. I think I'm just talking.
Okay.
And then I played Secret Ponchos, which is...
Yes, I wanted to play that one. I didn't see it.
It sounds like the name of a burrito joint somewhere, but this was... you guys saw this at the indie presentation for Sony at E3. This is a top-down, kind of slightly isometric, multiplayer-focused Western shooter.
Yes.
We played a 2-on-2 match, and it took a few minutes. It's a very interesting game. I feel like it needs a little bit more polish. I actually picked the guy from the trailer that has the whip.
Nice.
And tried using the whip. It's hard to use because you've got these people just running around.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like Diablo meets Red Dead meets Guacamelee and this weird... But it's all...
Those are all good things.
Yeah, you have several different characters to pick from. There's big guys that have more powerful guns. There's smaller guys that are faster. Every character has 2 weapons, and every gun has a primary and a secondary fire mode on it. And the mode that I played was basically just team deathmatch. So see how many you can work out. Unfortunately, the guy that I was playing with was kind of bad at the game. So I kept whipping dudes and incapacitating them, and then he would just run by and not kill them. And I was just like, I don't want to have to yell at you in E3, bro. Like, you're on my team, ass face.
You're used to being able to yell with the guy yell at the guy you're playing with.
I play on Xbox Live. I know how it goes. I was gonna call his mother a whore, but it just didn't work out that way. Anyway, there's not really a whole lot to say about Secret Ponchos. It's more something you have to just play.
Excuse me. You should kill the guy that I incapacitate. Also, your mother has wanton sexual relationships with random men.
This is very true.
Let's continue. That's a nice way to say it.
Yeah. So it was good, but I think that I did myself a disservice by playing Secret Ponchos in between Mercenary Kings and Transistor, because both those games are way better than Secret Ponchos. Yeah,
that's disappointing, because of those three, Secret Ponchos was the one that I was most looking forward to.
And you know what? When it comes out, in the words of fucking Saturday Night Fever, you dig it the most, baby. Is that may be your game from this presentation, but I like heavy Metal Slug. I've got some kind of problem with Transistor. Oh shit. And it could just be that Greg Kasavin was standing there talking to people in line. I was like, he's drinking coffee like a foot from where I'm standing. What the shit?
Oh, you have a man crush on Greg Kasavin.
Well,
yes. Let's continue.
We talked about this. We talked about the fact that we're standing there. He obviously had come up to talk to people in line. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to think that it's because he used to be in that line at some point. But I didn't really have any questions about Transistor. Once I got done playing it, I had a million questions, but just waiting to play it, I didn't have any questions. I didn't want to just be like, I think you're really cool, man.
Mr. Kasavin, my name is Jeff from Rage Select. Is there going to be multiplayer on this, and can I suck your dick?
Yes.
Just mostly that first part?
I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to be all because the thing is that I get starry-eyed for game journalists. I can kind of give a shit about developers, but, oh my God, is that Jeff Gerstmann? Oh!
He gets all aflutter. How's my hair, Jason? Is my hair okay?
Yeah. On the second day I saw Ryan Davis, and I was just like, oh, I saw Ryan Davis.
You were telling me about that. He was so excited telling me about that, and I was like, I don't know who the fuck that is, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah. Mostly it's the guys from Giant Bomb, because I'm a big fan of theirs, but I just didn't want to be that guy who's just I'm a huge fan, and they're like, okay, well, what do you want to know about Transistor? I'm like, I don't know anything about Transistor. I'm a huge fan of yours.
We're gonna have a Rage Select meetup at Trader Vic's. Would you come and be my date? I mean, just come and I'll buy you a drink.
Anyway,
you want to get married, man married?
Transistor is the latest game from Supergiant Games, the makers of Bastion.
My tuck is really good.
Okay, shut up, Jason. And the conceit of this game, at least what I can tell from the trailer or from the beginning part of it, was that you have this character. She's got red hair. Her name is apparently Red. She is being chased by this kind of clandestine organization in this weird future city. And in the demo, she's under attack by this organization that's been abducting people, and then she gets teleported to the other side of the city, and she finds this sword that looks like a USB key out of Tron or something. This big blue triangle or rectangle with a big red circle eye in the middle of it.
Okay.
But it starts talking to her. And apparently she has no voice. They took her voice. They took her voice, or that doesn't really work. So this thing, the Transistor, that is the name of the sword, is guiding her through the city and telling her what to do. And you get the impression that whoever is in the sword is her ex-boyfriend, or they know each other, or whatever. What? I have no idea. But just like the narrator from Bastion, the sword is constantly talking to you.
Oh my God, cool. He possessed my vibrator.
Dude, if that's her vibrator, oh God.
She's adventurous and flexible.
Oh God. The Process. I was trying to remember the name of those. That's the enemies.
Yes, they're chasing her.
Yes.
Okay.
So here's the thing: is that when this starts out, it's very much like Bastion in that you have a couple of attacks. Mm-hmm. You have a square attack, you have a circle attack. And the circle attack is a line dash attack, and then the square attack is just an up close attack. They're very clumsy. And then very shortly thereafter, you discover that the real mode of this is that when enemies start attacking you, you hit the R2 button and it stops time, and then you have this meter at the top of the screen that as you run or set up an attack, it goes down. So it's kind of like the VAT system in Fallout 3.
Yeah.
So you got an isometric, so you stop time, and then while time is stopped, you can run over and get in position and line up like a bunch of enemies, and then do this line attack through them, and then do a second one back down, or do a different type of attack. And then when you let go of, or when you hit the R2 button again, time starts back up again, and your character does those attacks. And you have stuff like there's backstab damage for extra damage and stuff like that. So it's not really, it's more like a weird hybrid turn-based game than it is something like Bastion. And then later on, you find somebody who's dead, and they have like this weird data sphere above them, and your sword starts talking to them, and the sword like gets some information from them, and then says, "Oh, hey, they want to come with us." And then like the sphere disappears, and then you get a new attack that is like this new personality in your big sword, where you can drop a bunch of cluster bombs. You get a third one later on, where you can do this like short range like teleportation maneuver. But all the music is by Darren Korb, the guy that did the soundtrack of Bastion, which is fucking, I listen to that shit at night to go to sleep sometimes. It's fucking incredible. All the art style is really great. It's got some connection to Bastion, but it's very much its own. And the game is just like oozing with like style and creativity. And that's what I like most about it, is they're definitely just trying to, they're not reinventing the wheel, but what they're doing extremely well. Like Crusader No Regret as an art movie type of thing almost in the future. But so yeah, that was Transistor, and I really, really dug it. I thought it was incredibly good. I really can't wait for it to come out, which is not until next year for the PlayStation 4 and Windows.
It's a ways off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably early next year, but still next year.
Did you offer him at least a back rub?
No.
What if you hadn't liked it?
I would just, I don't know how to answer that question. Those words don't mean anything in my brain, Jason. All right. Well, I tell you what. Why don't we roll right along here? You got, you saw Company of Heroes 2 today.
Company of Heroes 2 is an RTS. It was very complicated. It was tucked away back behind the Sega booth where you could play it anyway. So I would go by there, and there's just nobody there. So I could just walk in.
You mean like the Final Fantasy 14 booth?
Yes.
Where everybody was like, that game is shit.
Yeah. I could just walk in, and I did, and I walked in and sat down, and yeah, you know, it's I don't know if you played Company of Heroes. I think I played the demo or something like that. This is Company of Heroes 2, and so yeah, you play as a Soviet, and you have different officer loadouts that you can choose from, and I didn't have anyone walking me through this, and it was a very complex RTS, so some of what I say may be incorrect. But you have different officer loadouts to choose from when you start. And this game is in open beta right now. So you can go ahead and pick it up, I think, and just dive right in. But yeah, you pick your officer loadout, and then you start with just a couple of guys, and it's all very frozen, because it's all in Russia, you know, trying to fight off the Germans in World War II. You know, one of the things you can build is a fire pit to keep your guys from freezing to death.
Okay, that sounds incredibly bleak.
Yeah, and it's resource management, because you have to have enough money and the engineers to build the different buildings where you can train snipers or infantry. Or
it's like you build up command points or something from having places captured. And
exactly.
You spend those.
Exactly.
There's no actual resource management. It's mostly just control
Which,
points.
That took me a while to get. I mean, they're resources, but not really resource management.
Right.
I mean,
you don't have to put an SCV on a crystal field in order to get crystals to buy more infantry.
It just kept going, you know, and then I found out, okay, we have to go cap flags, and so I would go do that, and I was playing with just 3 other AIs, 1 on my team and then 2 against me, and yeah, I mean, it's a very complex, detailed, good-looking RTS. I didn't get too deeply into it, so I don't really have a lot to say about it. If you liked the first one, I believe this is very similar, and there's not a lot of RTSs, and this one was made with a lot of attention to historical detail, like a ton of it. So, yeah, that's really all I got on that one. Not much. It was cool.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, let's power through a few of these things, because we're hitting up on the hour mark, and unfortunately, you guys, I don't know why I'm apologizing, because we've done so much podcasting in the last 3 days, but we have to go hang out with you guys, or some of you guys in LA tonight, So we can't record like 16 parts today.
Yeah.
But we'll come back and record whatever we don't hit today tomorrow. But let me knock a few of these things out. Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate is the Batman game on the PlayStation Vita.
Which looks good.
Which somebody described to me as a 2.5D Metroid game. And I was like...
Yeah. Okay.
Because I like Metroid a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like a 2D... It's like a 2D Batman that's trying to be the Arkham Origins. Like
that just seems like a silly thing to do.
Like, okay, so you're running along a two-dimensional plane, and you can kind of move like backwards and forwards, like Little Big Planet style. Mm-hmm. So then you'll have 4 guys that surround you, and then it becomes like the Arkham Asylum fighting system, where you have to, the counter one and hit another one and hit another one and hit another one. It's weird because, and this may be the part that's really breaking my mind, is it is a side-scrolling. It's not exactly side-scrolling, but a lot of the movement is just side to side. There is no jump button.
What?
You hold down the X button and you'll run quickly and you'll mantle over obstacles. But then whenever you get to a place where you have to move like to another section of the building, because what I was playing is Catwoman had stolen some shit and you're trying to get it from her. It's like obviously the first time that Batman and Catwoman have met each other. And anytime you ran to the edge of something, you would hit the R1 button to do your grapple to another place and start running from left to right again. At the end of the demo,
how do you make a Batman game where you can't jump?
I don't know, but I didn't care for this. It just seemed like a really pared down version of this game. There was even a part where they were kind of trying to simulate the stalking guys part of Batman, but because the camera angle was so high, I kept getting seen because I couldn't really figure out where I was. It seems too much like they're trying to adhere to the principles of the Arkham games, and they're not just making something that is fun on a handheld, which is what you really need to be doing. Like, if they were able to make, I would have much rather had whoever this company is say, we're porting Arkham Asylum to the Vita so you can play it on the Vita. I'd be much happier with that than I would have been this thing, because I've goddamn no interest in playing some jerked up version of Batman that isn't very good. And then I guess we got one more, maybe, we'll do one more and then close out. And that is Rise. Which I didn't actually get a chance to play, but I did, because the line for, I don't understand why the line for Rise was so goddamn long.
It's like, did you guys not see all the QuickTime events?
Yeah, like there was 8 games.
Every time I went in there.
There's 8 stations, and there was like a line that, from knowing how fast lines at E3 move, was probably 2.5 hours, maybe 3, to get to Rise and play it for 15 minutes. So I watched a dude play it for 15 minutes, and then when he got done and came out, I basically just interviewed him.
I'm good.
It's like, hey, can you tell me this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this? So here's the thing. Everybody's looking at Rise, and they're like, this looks like it's just a game that's nothing but QuickTime events. It's not. But the combat in Rise is very much like Batman, the Arkham series, where you push in the direction of somebody that is attacking you, and then the attack button, and you'll turn in whatever direction that is and hit them, so that when you're fighting 2 or 3 guys at the same time, you end up doing these really bombastic moves. And then whenever you weaken them, that's when that QuickTime event pops up over their head, and you hit it, and you do these really, really brutally bloody execution maneuvers, like just shoving, with little Roman short swords or whatever.
Yeah,
just right in
Gladius, right?
Dude's throat, And like the game looks really good. I mean, it's very high res. All of the character, the facial models and everything look fantastic. So there's a sequence in there that had just some running around and some mild traversal, and then it had a lot of this ultra violent kind of bloody action. And there was a second part to the demo where you saw it in the stage show where they all lock up.
Yeah, they do the shield thing.
Right. I don't know what you call that. And then they march forward. And you basically...
That's what they called it.
Oh, the shield thing?
Yeah. Men, Romans, do the shield thing. Shield thing. Then the enemy's like, shit, they're doing the shield thing.
Oh, God, we haven't figured out how to get around the shield thing yet. Shit.
I know, let's set them on fire.
Yes! But you would do that, and you would switch between, like, full defense and, like, everybody throw your spears at those guys over there. and it seemed all right. I asked them about the story, and they said there was a lot of really good voice acting, but nobody could really remember what the story was about, which is great when the thing you finished playing like literally 60 seconds ago can't hold your attention until
it's about Roman history.
Maybe it's just maybe my beard was mesmerizing them, and they were just like, I don't know, just beard.
Maybe they were as tired as you were.
Oh my god. But you know what? I'd like to see more of Rise, and I don't think it's worth counting out just yet.
Okay.
Because there's obviously been a lot of work put into it. It's a genre that we don't see very often in video games. And
games with rip-off of Batman combat?
No.
Because we see a lot of that.
We see a little bit of that. I'm still waiting for somebody to do it as good as Batman did it.
Yeah.
But I'm talking more about the setting, the Roman setting.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Like, there's plenty of ultra-violent stories to be told in there that could make really good video games. Titan Quest, I guess, Rome Total War, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of games set in that particular period of time. So, I don't know. I say keep an eye on it. It could end up not being the shittiest thing ever. That's as much of an endorsement as I'm willing to give that game. So
that they should put that on the banner
directly on the box.
Had that, yeah. Put it on the box. That's what Rise might not be the shittiest thing ever.
RageSelect.com. Jeff from RageSelect.com.
Yep. That's
celebrity endorsements.
We are available for endorsements.
Also children's parties and retirements and bat mitzvahs.
That's true.
Well, everybody, we're going to go ahead and take a break. It might be a little bit longer than the last few days before you get to part 2 because we have to go drink an excessive amount of liquor.
Yes, we do.
Because we've earned it. God damn it.
By the time you hear this, we will be deep in the throes of a hangover.
This is very true. But stay tuned because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more things to talk about.
Some good stuff, too.
And some really good stuff tomorrow here at RageSelect.com. Somebody said that they thought that I was being a little pushy with telling people to hit the like button and subscribe and tell your friends and that sort of stuff. Hey, you know what? We need as many people as humanly possible to hit the like button and subscribe and tell your friends and shit like that because I don't know about you, I fucking love going to E3. And I want to come back next year and I want to bring a special spiky-haired friend of ours.
Yes. That would be nice.
And then I want to set him and Mr. Murphy loose to just do whatever the fuck they want to until we get kicked out of E3 or until I don't know them. We'll make our own website for you. We'll call it videogamedicks.com.
Okay.
And you guys can come from videogamedicks.com under Mason Jerfy and
but then we can put all the content up on Rage Select.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
So there you go. That's the plan for next year. Anyway, check back a little bit later on for part 2 and we'll see you then.